Hello, so we are now live. Raz, over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Narayan. So we are finally live for this week's episode of Power Hour. And the reason why this week is special is because we have many of the fantastic speakers joining us from D365 Summit next week in Lisbon. So there's still an opportunity for you to join us if you haven't already registered for your ticket. So without further ado, we want to first of all thank you everyone for joining. So we will be able to get about 6 people on the screen at a time. Just to let everyone know that your screen does need to show in order to display on the stream. We've got lots of guests right now waiting. So without further ado, I want to first of all kick off by introducing Nathan. Nathan is leading the Dynamics 365 F&O Integration Bootcamp. Give everyone a wave, Nathan. So Nathan is joining us from Detroit, and you kind of did something similar last year. This year is going to be a lot more, I guess, a bit more interactive, more hands-on, covering more of the integration scenarios and tools out there. So we do have an agenda prepared for that integration bootcamp. So Nathan, feel free to kind of give a brief overview of what we're planning to cover for the integration bootcamp.
Sure. So sort of an accelerated, just, I don't want to say summary because that sort of undersells it. We're going to talk about all the new integration tech that we have available and have had available inside of F&O for a while. So OData, so REST, SOAP endpoints or custom services, dual write, all the goodies that come with DMF. So whether it's data migration, for looking at it from that perspective, or integration, and then everywhere in between. Really just looking at we've got F&O, and we've got all kinds of new stuff relative to older versions. We want to make sure that everyone knows about all the new tools out there, how to use them, walk through examples of when you would use them. There's a lot of new stuff that comes with those, like throttling. They have to keep in mind. So there's just sort of this broad overview of all the different tech we have, how to use it, when to use it, when when some tech makes sense and others don't, and also sizing in terms of what it is you want to integrate and how your systems want to talk. So that's sort of what we'll be going through, and there's a lot to cover there. So Andre will be helping me out with some of that. I don't believe Andre's on the call. But there's that's sort of just the first half a day, and then we have the second half where we'll have Aurelian talking about dual write, and then Alaraza, you'll be talking about some stuff as well. I'll let you talk through that. But really, just a good a solid day of you've got F&O and you want to get data over to it. Here's all the tools, all the tools you have in your tool belt. Or in your tool set. Here's how you want to use those tools, and then we'll also have working examples of how that stuff would work with source code, so you can pick it up off our GitHub afterwards.
And just to reiterate for the audience, Nathan, the emphasis we're putting on this, and the emphasis is really, and this is your day job, right, Nathan, is that most customers get their integrations wrong. Most of the time, the guys like you and me or whoever is involved in a project, usually we're having to fix the integrations because they've got the integrations wrong. So this is one of the main reasons why we're tackling this subject in particular, and dedicating a whole day to that, Nathan. I mean, I can share one to be honest, nearly all the use cases on all the projects, they've made some bad design decisions when it comes to the integrations, whether they've chose the wrong type of integration for the purpose. For example, for the Power App, for example, they were, number one, the dual write was never configured correctly in the first place, and it was failing. But they were using it for a Power App whereby virtual entities was a better solution, and that ended up working a charm. But there's so many different tool sets that you're going to go through, and throughout the day we'll be exploring when and where is the best time to use that particular integration. So just for everyone to really be aware of the sheer importance of that. Also, the fact that this is an enterprise. We working in large enterprises, and integrations are fundamental. It's bread and butter, right, Nathan? I mean, you must work for so many large enterprise organizations, and I mean, please feel free to share some of the challenges that those enterprise organizations face with their integrations.
Sure. So I not on purpose. I seem to specialize in food-related integrations, which come with their own set of rules around how to handle food. So that means everything is batch controlled. Sometimes we have cereals as well, and just keeping track of all those little bits and pieces inside of an integration is challenging. But we also have to go to that level of detail, especially when it comes to food and batches. We can't just ship a SKU somewhere. We have to ship a SKU with a batch, and there's all kinds of information that has to go with that. EDI, is in the scope of integrations. So there's a lot of just bits and pieces you have to keep track of, and a lot of stuff that just sort of gets overlooked because, let's just use OData. OData is easy. Let's just use OData. Well, you've got to worry about throttling. You've got to worry about availability. Throughput is an issue. And then eventually, timeliness between, you've got outside systems in your system of record. Do they need to be kept in, sync? Do you need an active-active solution? Does one just need to be eventually correct? Just items of that nature. And typically, those things don't get talked through. And then some event occurs where they have a sale or a product that becomes really popular, and then the throughput for their integrations goes from 1x to 10x, and stuff just starts to break. So that's sort of where I focus in on making sure everything is right-sized, but can scale up automatically when needed. And with that scale up is either more Azure resources or just more time, and eventually stuff catches up.
Thank you, Nathan. So Nathan will be leading that boot camp, taking place next Friday, and then also Saturday. If you can't join the boot camp because it's already full. Unfortunately, we cannot fit any more people into that room. It's at max capacity, but you can still catch him on the Saturday, and he will still be covering integration best practices on the Saturday on the conference. So make sure you catch Nathan there. Say hi to him. So once again, thank you, Nathan, from all the way from Detroit to join us here in Europe, in Lisbon. Really excited to have you. And we also have some other boot camps. So the first boot camp that we'll be doing is with none other than Mariano Martinez. So he's on the call right now. As well, his colleague, Yuan, you may know him. He's also the co-author of the book for Dynamics 365, Becoming a Supply Chain Consultant. And so what Mariano will be doing, we've teamed up with Microsoft Learn to deliver this 2-day boot camp to increase awareness and the knowledge around supply chain. It's still a niche area for the Microsoft community. It's heavily growing. It's people like Yuan and Mariano who are actually contributing to this area, sharing their industry knowledge, sharing their insight. So without further ado, I want to first of all introduce Yuan. Hi there, Yuan. Do you want to say hi to everyone?
Hi, Raz. Thank you very much. Hi.
Fantastic, Yuan. So, Yuan, you are based in Europe, in Spain, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm based in Madrid. Actually, I'm in the Netherlands for a company event, but I will be in Lisbon next week.
Excellent. And you are obviously one of the authors of Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management, published on Pact. And you'll be doing a session on enterprise transformation and project post go live. Tell us a little bit about your session.
Yeah, very quickly. So usually the projects we believe that end us when we do the go live, and then we think that we can put this project in support mode and that's it. But this is not what the companies does in the real life. So every single company want to innovate, want to be the best in the market, and for that they are constantly trying to push the technology and the new solutions around. And if we believe that the one ERP solution or any type of solution, we can just put it in a standard and don't innovate together with the company, we are making a mistake. So we are going to talking about what we need to do after that, manage the resistance of the user with the new systems, how to integrate the continuous improvement into the roadmap, put the proper governance around that, and make sure that we define correctly the strategy and we are aligned with the business. So if we put the proper tools and the proper framework around the system that we have just implemented, we will get a better solution that is evolving. As the same Microsoft is doing with us as well, we are constantly receiving version upgrades with new features, with new functionalities, and many companies are willing to take that. We need to align all these pieces together and make sure that we deliver the proper strategy after the go live.
Fantastic, Johan. Yes, it's often an area that's not covered in conferences and in sessions, especially in technical sessions. So that's really great. And then obviously you've got Mariano. So Mariano, you'll be delivering the boot camp on Monday and Tuesday. I know we're trying to figure things out regarding environments to make the experience as productive as possible for those involved. So Mariano, so obviously we've got a very intense 2 days of learning for supply chain. I know we kind of talked about it on the previous call that we had, but feel free just to share some of the things that some of the attendees will be learning about supply chain, as well as your session that you'll be covering on the conference day, which is on warehouse management, which is a hugely popular topic. So please tell us a bit about that.
Well, the bootcamp session starts with the basics of the supply chain management module, just to introduce product management and inventory management. So how do you work with these modules in Dynamics? Then we're going to focus on quality and asset management. Asset management is a pretty new module to do all the maintenance on the equipment. So as WMS is a new topic that everyone wants to learn, so we're going to focus there about a half an hour. It's a really compressed session that we will have, because we have a lot of topic to cover in a short amount of time. So we're going to be learning a lot. And then for the second day, we're going to view and review the procurement process. How do you start with a RFQ and go to pay to your vendor? Then on the sales and marketing module, we're going to see how you sell and how do you process all the marketing stuff in Dynamics F&O. And then we're going to start with intercompany trade and landed cost, which is again a really new topic to share about. And finally, the last part of the second day will be with WMS, or warehouse management, which is really popular, as you say. We're going to focus how do you work with this module, and also how do you set up from the start, and do some exercise with the WMS app. If we could raise an environment so the people that attend to the session could test. And then how do you connect it with the transportation management module? And finally, the last part of the course, we will focus on the master planning module that now became to the planning optimization module that has a really good topics to share and learn about that. And on the Saturday, this would be the main event, I will be talking about warehouse management, because I've seen it in a lot of implementations that people tend to have errors or problems from the start of how do you design the solution, or how is the process from the start of the WMS topic to the final part of the implementation, and how do you design and which things you have to do or not, and also good tips and tricks about the first part of the configurations, because Microsoft implemented a lot of wizards that are pretty new, and how they help you on this first part of the implementations.
That's excellent. So both Juan Bravo and Mariano are Microsoft MCTs. It's a great pleasure that Mariano is going to be flying all the way from Peru.
Chile.
Chile. I apologize. Chile. So really excited for this great opportunity. So over to the next boot camp, which is none other than Narayan. So Narayan, you're obviously delivering the finance boot camp and with Ramit as well. So please, Narayan, give a high-level overview of the finance boot camp, and then we can introduce Ramit.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm really, really excited about delivering this particular training. Being an MCT and MCT regional lead, I'm going to bring some of those Microsoft content, but as along with the future roadmap stuff, like we will be giving some sorts of hint. Obviously, this is more like concentrating towards the certification bootcamp. So we will be heavily giving the weightage onto the certification side, but also on top of that, when you learn about the Dynamics 365 Finance, prepare for the 310 exam, MB 310. Once you're ready, you will be doing the real practice in the industry. So its certification is not the only way, but also you need to have some use case scenarios understood, what are the real life use cases, how it's been implemented, what type of real challenges are coming. So we will be discussing about those. We will be also sharing our experience and making sure we give all of our experience and knowledge to you. So when you go into the actual real field, you don't feel left alone. You don't feel that you haven't learned enough. So those 2 days is going to be very intense. You need to be 100%, put a head down, concentrate on, forget about all the world's worry and think about finance. And sometimes you might feel a little bit boring, but we are there to actually make sure that you're not bored, you understood properly. And also we will help you plan your schedule so you can prepare for exam. And we might have some surprises. I don't want to disclose it now, but once you attend it, I believe we have a full class, but once you attend it, you will be there. You will get some few surprises there, which is just a little one, I can say, with maybe a digital badge or something else. Could be a voucher, could be anything else. So yeah, get ready for it. We will be bringing those goodies for you as well. So it's more like making learning more fun and getting prepared. And also we having a lot of AI buzzwords at the moment. Copilot is a new feature. So how can you have the Copilot interacted with? You might not have a full detailed deep dive session on it because it itself requires a separate bootcamp. But maybe in future, keep tuned into D365 Future Summits, and you will be attending one of those AI Copilot session with the finance, operations, SCM, and so on. So we got other experts who actually delivering those type of sessions already. So yeah, stay tuned.
So just to remind everyone, so this Microsoft Learn Initiative, Narayan is a regional lead for the MCT program now, and so we teamed up with the Microsoft Learn Initiative, and yeah, so there will be some goodies as well that we'll get from the participation of this. So Narayan, that leads over to your partner in crime, who is none other than Ramit, who is probably become one of the most famous finance functional personalities out there. So Ramit, if we can get Ramit on the screen, Narayan. So for everyone who doesn't know, Ramit's been blowing up the internet on finance, right? So he's doing some fantastic stuff out there. So I think that is a huge big win for people who are participating in the boot camp, because they're going to get Ramit's insight into the highly functional areas of finance. So Ramit, and look, you're very active in sharing those already, but you're also covering some topics as well on the conference day, but just give people a bit of flavor around the finance module and what they can expect to learn.
Great. I'm really excited and echo with Narayan that what he has explained, that the certification from the certification side and also the Copilot and side, which is buzzing at the moment. And recently I created a video on Copilot for finance. So for the session, what people will be expecting from my side, that I will be talking about around 20 new features which has come up and how people can, or the organization at the end, the customer can get benefited. What I'm trying to plan is my focus area will be the investment which has been done from the Microsoft side, be the business process automation that we forget to do that every time. So we always prefer to do and fit the requirement, right? But we always prefer to suggest what is there as in the Microsoft that they can automate the business processes rather than just filling up the requirement what has been shared by the end users. So I will be focusing on the business process automation at first, and then I will be talking about new functionalities which has been invested by Microsoft and how people can get benefited, like cash applications, modern bank reconciliation, each and every area where Microsoft has invested and they are floated. I will be talking. I've been talking on those. Not only from the finance side, I will also be covering slightly on the SCM side as well, so that all the participant can get the flavor of Microsoft Dynamics 365, be it finance, be it SCM. So I'm looking forward to it, and I will be also supporting, and I will be helping. I will be helping the other participants who is joining in the boot camp as well as part of Microsoft certification side. So yeah, that's all. I'm looking forward, Raj.
And it's great you're flying all the way from India. Which state of India are you flying from?
I am from the east side, which is Kolkata. So currently I am in Bangalore, which is in western part of India. So I will be flying to Delhi, which is center part of India. So I live in yesterday I was in east part, now I'm in west, and then I will fly back to on Monday on center part of India and then straight to Lisbon.
Wow, well, we're excited to finally see you in person. For those who haven't met Ramit, you'll finally get to meet him in person. So we've covered Monday and Tuesday with supply chain. We've covered Wednesday and Thursday with the finance bootcamp. Then we've got the Friday, which is the integration bootcamp with Nathan. With Nathan, there'll also be Ali Reza, who's on the call. So Ali Reza, if we can get Ali Reza on the screen. So Ali Reza, you're going to be covering the components of DMF. You'll also be talking about some other topics. Please feel free to give some insight into what the audience should be knowing about DMF and often common mistakes that take place on projects, for example, that you're keen on educating and sharing your insight.
Thank you, Raz. Yes, first of all, I think it's very great that in that bootcamp, so we can collaborate with each other. So we will be several brains, so we can deliver our insight to the audiences and take their interaction also. But first of all, so my first focus will be have a deeper look on standard functions. And sometimes there are some functionality in the dynamics that let us say it's somehow hidden, so the users or let us say the communities does not have a clear view that how it can be used. So based on this, they either create a customization or they just choose the ISV on some functionalities that is not let us say that they must use the integration. So first of all, I will go through the fundamental there. So we have a deeper view on the components of data management framework and how it can be used basically in the implementation and supporting phases. Based on also the type of the data and number of the data, or let us say which is a large type of data. So we will also go through what can be the potential approaches that can be used. On the next part, so we will talk deeply about integrations, that how DMF can be used as a tool for the synchronous and asynchronous integration to the other solution. So I, Nathan, and Andre, and Olarian, and you will be so just collaborating each other. So I have earlier talked with the Olarian, so I will talk about the DMF on the dual write and virtual entities, which Olarian will mostly talk about deeper look in the virtual entities and dual write, how it can be used, and what was the challenges that we had from the first day of the dual write, and now how Microsoft has resolved some of these issues for the customers. Because Microsoft has changed, so the solution has been developed. There are some, let us say, fixes that Microsoft has already delivered to pave the way of using Dynamics. But when it comes at the conclusion, so I will have a pros and cons about using each part or each components in the integration, that what is the best way to use that. And we will go through the most or frequent asked questions about how to troubleshoot or the error messages that can be that can be happen in the DMF or data management framework, and how we can start. What is the basis to start troubleshooting the issue? From the staging to the target, and also from the integration part. So this is the first part that I will cover in the bootcamp, and then on my part on the 27th, in the Saturday, I guess. So I will go through the showcases and real cases that we already have delivered for one of the biggest construction provider in the Scandinavia. That how we have started the success story about the data management framework, and how it is used specifically for the data migration. So we go filter that bootcamp to the data migration. So we will talk about how a data management framework can be used specifically as a data migration tools, and how it can be talked to other tools in the Dynamics, let us say cross-company data sharing or Excel add-ins, so can be used in this purpose also. And at the last part, I have collaboration with Fernando about how to unlock the electronic reporting. So electronic reporting, for me at least, I think that this is something like a hidden area, or something like hidden power inside the Dynamics that Microsoft has not used it in the advertising yet. So I think it's very great to use the expertise from the Fernando here. So he will talk about, he can just share more information afterwards. But what I can say, so I will deliver about a little bit the components, capabilities, and in a nutshell. So there are many interesting topics that we are talking about. So I don't want to spoil that. So so wait for that. So this is. And
Alireza, you're traveling from Norway, is that correct?
Yes, I'm from
Excellent.
Norway.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as you can tell from the theme, we've got people from nearly every single country traveling out. So that's really, really good. It feels like a truly international experience. And it's a great transition, really, Ali, Reza, to Fernando. So hiya, Fernando.
Hello.
Hiya, Fernando. So if you're just picking up from where Alireza left off on the topic that you'll be covering on the transition, obviously. So obviously Alireza talked about the DMF framework and the data management side, whereas you're talking about some of the more of the hidden features around electronic reporting. Would you like to expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, as he said, we're going to talk about electronic reporting. It's, as he said, it's a tool that hasn't been advertised, but it's being used a lot by Microsoft. Even the out-of-the-box solution uses it a lot. So there's a lot of people that need that knowledge for implementations, because they have to deal with, let's say, e-invoices or a lot of different business documents, a lot of different things that we are going to cover in the session. And they don't have the right tools to learn, to see, or they don't have like an overview of what is this. It's a pretty unique tool, and I think we are going to cover that. Alireza is going to carry out more the functional part of it. I am more technical, so we are going to split a little the session in these two phases of the coin.
And for those who are not aware, Fernando has been a great advocate of unit testing for F&O. So, as you know, so Fernando, just share a little bit about what you're trying to achieve with improving code quality with your initiatives around unit testing.
Yeah, well, and it was actually in the last year's session. I talked about unit testing also in Madrid in the Dynamics Minds. Basically, I got to work with for an ISV company, and then I realized working with other in a team with C# developers and more developers, that they were saying like, "Oh, you don't do unit tests? What's going on there?" And I was like, I don't know anyone in the industry that makes unit tests in F&O. So I started to dive into that world and understanding the benefits of unit testing and how that's a must in a lot of other technologies in the software development. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that with the community and try to push the community, to the technical community, to get more into the testing.
Thank you so much, Fernando. So now we will move over to none other than Johan. So Johan, you'll be covering. Obviously, you're very much an infrastructure expert, and so you'll be obviously covering the very vital key topic on security. Please share with the community, give them an idea, a flavor of how you'll be approaching this topic.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for inviting me. So my session is mainly about securing F&O and the infrastructure around F&O. I mean, there is, of course, a security model within F&O that we can use with roles and features and roles and duties and so on, privileges. But we have other things that we need to secure. We need to secure identities. We need to secure infrastructure. We need to secure development machines. We need to secure the data, not to say the least. And this is basically what my session will be about. How do we secure mostly the outside infrastructure around F&O, and what do we need to think about in the different scenarios where we have data, where we have code, and where we have integrations.
And Johan, you're joining us from Sweden, is that correct?
Yes, that is
fantastic. Correct. Excellent. So a great transition from Johan, and the previous sessions were all related to heavily F&O, as you probably noticed. And one of the things that Fernando mentioned was around the lack of unit testing in that particular community. I know Nathan, for example, has addressed it in the past as well. However, it was also very similar for the other side of the pond, for the dynamic CE side. And so someone similar to you, Fernando, we have our own version of Fernando in the CE space. Jordi Montana, you probably know Jordi Montana, don't you, Fernando? If not, you should meet. He'll be there. And so we do have some fantastic speakers from the dynamic CE. This year we are introducing a CE track in the vision of One Dynamics, and now on all the projects I've worked on for the past 5 years have all been F&O and CE, and so that is becoming a common thread now, and as Microsoft evolves and improves its architecture. So we have some fantastic speakers from that space, and first and foremost, I want to introduce Microsoft MVP Baris. Baris is someone who I've known for many years. In fact, he's the first MVP actually that I ever met in person, and in London. This was over 10 years ago, so it's a great honor to have Baris here. Baris, so first of all, introduce yourself. Tell us all, for people who don't know who Baris is, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Russ. So I got MVP award 13 times from Microsoft. So I am consulting in this sector in the version of 1.2, and nearly I have completed more than 200 Microsoft Dynamics projects until now. And so my experience only in the CE area, I don't know anything the ERP side actually. So my focus will be in this session actually. No, before that actually, nowadays I am working on the communication side at the omnichannel platform side of the Microsoft Dynamics, and this contains sellers, customer service, and the marketing, contains everything. So especially in this communication, omnichannel communication side, I focus much more social media and WhatsApp nowadays. So the companies need that, and that there are too many WhatsApp channels around, and then via WhatsApp you can do lots of things with the communicating with your clients. So this is usually in the B2C side. And then my session is work around about Copilot and Microsoft Dynamics CRM and WhatsApp. So in this session I will combine Copilot with WhatsApp. So when we send something from WhatsApp, our Copilot, at the background of the Copilot, it's the Power Virtual Agents. And then in the Power Virtual Agent side, we will generate some answers, and we will send these answers to our client via WhatsApp. So this is a very interesting opportunity, also very interesting demo session for the audience. And I hope you enjoy with it. So I will be there in the event. That's all from my side.
Fantastic. So Baris, you'll be covering obviously the Wave 1 updates and all the feature enhancements. So we're all excited about that. And that leads on to a very great transition, actually, to our next guest speaker, Mark Wheeler. So it's the first time, obviously, I'm going to get to actually speak to Mark, actually, right now. And Mark seems to be doing a lot of interesting work in the space of call centers. What you mentioned, Baris, omnichannel, in particular voice. So first of all, Mark, I'd like to say a very big warm welcome to you, and I'm it's a great pleasure to meet you. First time we've actually spoken. So Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing.
So I'm a relatively Dynamics novice. I've only been involved in Dynamics less than 2 years. I'm an end user in terms of I work in IT for a customer that uses Dynamics. We went a big transformation program, took on Dynamics, went live last November. And we went live with omnichannel, with WhatsApp and SMS and voice. And so the talk I'm going to do is the talk I wish I saw a year ago, because I'd learned lots of lessons from it. It's all the tips and tricks around omnichannel and CE, all the reporting. We've got heavily into App Insights, pulling information from Power Platform and Dynamics and customer service into App Insights to help us troubleshoot. And now we are on private preview for the vNext, the PVA2 for voice. So talking about what we're doing with that, some of the insights, I'm not sure how public it is on roadmap for vNext, and also some of the App Insights enhancements they're doing, which is interesting. It's good because Microsoft seems to be doing the things that we want them to do. And we've had quite a painful experience with omnichannel voice over the last 2 or 3 months. Some things we've avoided by luck, some things we've been caught out with. So my talk is to pass on my experience to help other end users or consultancies have a smoother journey than we did. We love omnichannel, by the way, and customer service, but we've had it's been hard work. So we want to make other people's journeys easier.
And just for those who are not aware, so when Mark refers to omnichannel voice, essentially, yes. Mark, what you're referring to is as your communication services, right? Because that's essentially what it is.
Well, it is. So I think we call it omnichannel. I think it's the digital contact center platform is the uncatchy Microsoft name now. But yeah, when we talk to, so now we have, I don't know how, I've told it's quite unusual. We have 2 calls a week with about 10 or 12 people from the product group. And we have so many people on the call because there's so many teams involved in omnichannel. Because as you said, you got Azure Communication Services. You've also got seemingly Azure services, just general services in the background. You've got Dynamics. You've got omnichannel teams. So it's a complex platform and lots of things intermingling with them. So lots of things can go wrong because of the voice element. I think that it's a really cool tool. But using browser and voice does add a lot of complexity. We're now at the level where we're looking at the makes of the laptops we're using and our headsets and all these sorts of things that you just wouldn't think wouldn't be things that you're talking about when you're using Dynamics. But we're at that level now.
Mark, you actually raised an interesting scenario that I experienced quite a long way. I think it was about 7-8 years ago. I was doing a call center implementation, but it wasn't, obviously omnichannel wasn't out at the time. This was just standard customer service, and is interesting because a lot of people don't realize that they're using a web application, but those web applications are usually hosted by a call center using like a VM, and the way they provision the VMs, it could be maybe like a shared graphics card, for example, and that has huge performance impacts. And no one really looks at the details, do they, Mark, in terms of, okay, how much resources are we going to allocate to those machines that the virtual machines that the users are using? So that's a very interesting point, actually, that you mentioned there, Mark. That's, you've actually brought some memories back there, but that's something to consider. That's some technical insight that most people, it evades most consultants. So thanks for bringing that up, Mark. Actually, that's a very good point.
It's what I want to try and do is get people thinking about the right approach, because obviously it's different for every implementation, but thinking about the approaches, the reports, the monitoring that you should be doing when going live with it, that will help you troubleshoot, help you understand if your platform is working well.
Yeah. Excellent, Mark. Well, thank you so much. Excited to see you in person. And by the way, apologies. I think your Lego character had a big mustache. At the time, you did have a big mustache.
It's good. So the mustache was it's an agile thing. It's called my GLT. It's a go live mustache. So what I did a month before we were due to go live, I decided to grow a mustache, and I said it's not getting shaved until we have a day without any critical defects. So it was a month and a week, and then it went. But I was very committed to going live.
Oh my! Because you look a bit serious, like a bit grumpy, like a bit angry.
I probably, because it was on go live week, it's still there because I probably had a few live defects. But it's my our next big go live. I will grow another GLT go live tash and be fully committed to going live.
It looks the persona looked quite intimidating, very different to you right now. Yes. But so just so that the attendees don't feel, I won't. Mark, he's
we're live and it's all good. So it's a good visual. In agile world, you try to have a visual. So the tash meant that we were going through a serious period.
Fantastic, Mark. Well, thank you so much. Obviously, you're going to be excited. Well, you may have already met Neil in the past, but Neil will also be covering call center. So you and him will be a great tag team together. Neil can't join the call right now, but he will be there on Saturday and giving his covering his topic. So that'll be really great to see both Neil and Mark giving their perspectives on call center challenges. So thank you so much, Mark. Excited to see you in Lisbon. And so we've talked a lot about F&O. We talked about integrations and enterprise. We talked about the CE side, the Barris about from the sales and marketing, digital omnichannel, and then Mark, the digital call center. And now to HR with none other than Kamal, who's probably one of the only HR consultants out there. So Kamal, first of all, huge thank you for joining us and covering the topic of the HR. HR has had a bit of a contentious past, should I say, and history. So please share your thoughts on the state of HR in the Microsoft and Dynamics world, please, if you don't mind.
Thanks a lot, Ross and Narayan and everybody. So it's been really great, coming back to the summit, after last year. So yeah, you rightly said it, right? So what's going on with HR is the question you almost get all the time, and I think finally after all the bumps, HR is sort of on a stable roadmap now. So HR is back into F&O infrastructure, which is where it rightly belongs. And even though the roadmap is stable, there are some functional improvements that needs to happen, and that is where Microsoft investments are going in, starting from this year's roadmap. So it's starting up with investments in recruitment management. So we will have a model-driven app, and that sort of connects with One Dynamics one platform approach, where we are getting CE and F&O closer together. So we will have a model-driven app for recruiters to start managing job applications and interview processes, and of course Copilot will be introduced for HR in this wave, and also more enhancements in the coming wave. So I think for this year the primary focus is recruitment and getting customers to invest more in HR. So the product is more stable now, back in F&O, and customers are able to sort of see the long-term strategy coming up, and One Dynamics One platform being realized also. So HR is, I think we are at the beginning of the, let's say, the full potential of HR. Even though it looks so long in the past, I think we are just starting off to see real human resource, development happening. So that being said, of course, when we go into projects, there are conversations where we say, we don't have capability around managing employee engagement. Like, how do we send out communications on self-service towards all employees in organization, or get feedback, right? So, conduct surveys, which are fancy to do and stuff. And when you look at Microsoft as a overall landscape, Viva is a key component of it. And that's what my session will be all about. So how can Viva complement HR on Dynamics? And Viva is really, fancy and easy to use and nice to sort of expose the employees in the organization to. So I will be talking about how to get Viva to work with Dynamics 365 from a human resource perspective, and also how it fits in from an IT standpoint with the enterprise architecture, and how should we view the architecture. So yeah, it's really exciting. So both the products have been getting along in a way. At the same time, both are evolving independently. So it's a right moment, and Microsoft is also sort of getting them closer together with One Dynamics One platform changes. So yeah, I'm really excited to be part of the summit, and looking forward to meeting you all in person.
Fantastic, Kamal. And you're joining us from Netherlands, is that correct?
Yes.
Excellent. Wow.
Yeah.
So I think we've been almost around the world now. The next person I wanted to, a very interesting person who will be delivering. Basically, he's a university professor who's in charge of the IT for a pharmaceutical organization, sharing some of the challenges, complexities and challenges around a very complex transformation. So Permin Bircher, he will be covering that topic and talking about the challenges as well as project delivery tips. Now, we were going to talk about his book that he's written. He's got 33 years of transformational experience, so that's very exciting. And he'll be talking a bit about that, about the challenges and some strategies. So one of the things we've changed from the previous years as a community is historically, we've been very much a technically focused community. And that's due to bias, really, because we are all technical and we are the community and we are the ones that are responsible for delivering projects. However, what we've seen, and I'm sure many people on the call will also agree, is that a lot of the time, we're seeing these failures, and it's got nothing to do with the technology. It's to do with strategic decisions, right? So this is something that Johan alluded to is something that Permin will be talking about as well. So we've got a whole track now on transformation, which is a bit of a shift from our, I think, 9 years we've been doing this. So we've made a shift to kind of cover the more strategic aspects of transformation, just because we're seeing it a lot. I'm seeing it with my eyes. Why are projects failing? Why are projects being handed from partner to partner, and why are they failing? Why are initiatives failing? It's not. It can be any technology. It can be any product, right? But there's strategic decision making that needs to be improved, and so we do have that enterprise track this year. So that will be, I'm talking about the enterprise track. We talk about Perma, we talked about Johan. I know, Johan, you'll be also chiming in there with Johan, because you've got some great insight from an infrastructure perspective as well. But none of that, we have who's kicking off that particular track is none other. So this year, every year, we have a different keynote speaker. So we're excited. We're very, very excited to announce that this year's keynote speaker for D365 Summit is none other than Michael Gall. Now, Michael Gall is the Microsoft Principal Engineering Lead for Dynamics F&O. So he's going to be able to share some really, really good insight into what's going to happen with Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations in the whole grand scheme of things. I know a lot of people have got a lot of questions and curiosities around that, how to align their strategies with Microsoft. So that's going to be really, really good. I personally have not met Michael before, so I'm really excited. I think a lot of the more technically focused developers and engineers will definitely be excited to meet Michael. We've also got PowerCat. We got Ilya from the PowerCat team, also talking about how to leverage AI as a strategy in your organization. So that's really cool. So I'm excited just to get more involved in the strategy side of things. I think, and I'd love to know a bit from the people here on the call, like for those who've been working heavily in the coalface of the technology for so long and feeling the brunt of decision making from a strategic higher up level, what your opinions and thoughts are when it comes to delivering projects. I mean, when decisions are being made and they're saying we're going to go ahead with this, and in your mind you think, okay, that's an approach, but is it the best approach for what scenario we're trying to tackle? I think they do need to engage with us a little bit more to get the full insight into the actual solution, because it could be that there is a product that solves a specific problem, but is it really truly the correct solution for your given audience? I know, for example, Narayan is very familiar with that. I don't know if anyone else wants to share some of their experiences with kind of solutionizing versus actually giving the right solution for the customer. But that's why we've introduced this strategy track to try and improve decision making. So Narayan, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, so it's been like, it's a good ups and downs kind of things, like, where when it comes to the decision making in architectural level, it's kind of like, balancing out the act. So obviously all the pillars what Microsoft has defined, which is known for the architecture concept, whether you follow the TOGAF or whether you follow the Archimate or any kind of methodologies along with that. So you look at, like, first of all, what business problems we are solving, what benefits are coming, that balancing out with your architecture and landscape. If that's the first win. Second win always comes to the price, cost, ongoing cost, total cost of ownership, and so on, year-on-year cost. So that is a kind of one of the factor plays a key role. Even like, any salespeople we talk about, they don't want to talk about cost first. Yes, I appreciate it, but customer who's willing to pay for it, they always wants to talk about the cost as well. Security always plays a key role in it. So if the security is not right, doesn't matter how brilliant solution we have, it's not going to work. So those are the elements. And there are other elasticity, backup, disaster recovery, and so on. There are about nearly a few handful of other pillars we need to actually think about. And that builds up the full enterprise or the scalable architecture. And also future-proof. That's another thing. Like, how the technology is moving. Now we're talking about AI. how quickly we can spin up the AI, how quickly we can actually remediate all the repeatable tasks, which we can give it to AI and say, okay, I don't want to repeat my mistakes. I don't want to do any human errors. I don't want to do any kind of issues happening within the system where we can automate some of the stuff. So yeah, that's kind of it's a long topic we can talk about. Hours and hours on it, but I'll let other speakers to share their thoughts as well.
Sorry, Johan, you had your hand up. Sorry, over to you, Johan.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, so I have actually had an issue this week that sort of highlights this as well, because we have historically been thinking about AX/F&O and CRM as two completely different systems, where we built a very, very custom integration between them, and they are still very isolated from each other. The problem I have seen this week and a lot lately is that all of the decisions that we made for F&O when we implemented F&O goes out the window when we connect it through dual write. A lot of the ways of doing things all of a sudden doesn't make sense when we have dual write set up between the two systems. So that was one of the things that I've been a bit frustrated about, is that when you ask a functional consultant on F&O, how do you do this? And they say, it depends, because we have a lot of ways of doing exactly the same thing. But my theory here is that once you implement dual write or any other like virtual entities or a Synapse link or whatever, you have a lot of the ways that you could do things before are all of a sudden doesn't make sense anymore, or are actually impossible. They don't work anymore. So I think that's an important part in this as well.
Very, very good comment, Johan. That adds to the complexity of enterprise transformation. That's why it's about enterprise, right? Because you've got SaaS offerings, but then you've got enterprise, which is a combination of many, which does add definitely many layers of complexity. So that's what we're trying to look at now more at these community events. It's not just one product, but let's see everything together. Let's see what are the real challenges being faced in enterprise industries, and how we can collectively address them and establish better patterns and practices. So thank you so much, Johan. A great comment, and ending a great closing note, actually, as we come towards the end of this hour. So before we wrap up, just want to, is any final comments and any final shout outs?
There is one thing I'd like to mention, which is about we always listen to our audience, and I know it's pretty basic question has been asked, but it's important question for anyone who's learning Power Apps or Power Platform and Dynamics 365. The question from Joao Fernandez is, what's the difference between Power Apps and Dynamics 365? Anyone would like to pick up the question? Pretty basic, but it's important.
Yep. I'm happy to. I would fundamentally say it's IP and licensing is basically the main bit, right? So Dynamics 365 is the IP of that's owned by Microsoft. They built that Power App. They built that solution with their intellectual knowledge. And so as a result of that, those business processes, that industry solution that they've built, they are charging a license. Whereas a Power App, you have got free reign to use that technology that Microsoft built that IP, but to use it for your own built solution, for your own IP even. That's what I would say. It's in a nutshell. Anyone else got any thoughts?
Yeah, I would say that Power Platform is more infrastructure, and as I said, Dynamics is an application on top of that. But the thing is, I would like to add as well, is that Microsoft doesn't really make it easy for us to explain these things to customers, because first of all, they have renamed them a lot of times, and secondly, it's a bit unclear, because Dataverse Power Platform used to be the database engine for CRM, which is now Dynamics, and it's sort of a bit confusing.
Yeah. So just to add the simple kind of a definition to it, because as an MCT, we explain this all the time. So Power App is a product of Power Platform. Power Platform is a core platform, and Dynamics 365 is a big ecosystem of first-party apps. And that includes the CE side of the app and the F&O side of the apps as well. But the CE side of the app, which is sales, customer service, field service, is built on top of Power Platform. And Power Platform also has, like, the D365 F&O has a capability of embedding Canvas app, which is another part of the Power App and the part of the Power Platform product. So that's a kind of a simple kind of a definition wise, but yeah, agree. Like, it's sometimes it's not easy when the names are continuously changing, but that's a part of the, where we play the key role of looking at, like, what's the roadmap look like, what Microsoft is announcing new, and keeping our customers or the partners engaged and up to date with that one.
Fantastic. Thank you for throwing it out there. Excellent question. So we're at the end of the hour, guys. So I just want to thank everyone who joined today, and have a safe journey to Lisbon next week. See you all in Lisbon. If you haven't got your ticket, still chance, maybe there's a few tickets left. Grab it while you can. See you all in Lisbon at D365 Summit. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
See you next week.
See you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
bye.
Thank you.